Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep with Harvey Diamond's Never Fear Cancer Again.
Oh yeah, this one's
This book is really interesting because it actually came from his own near-death experience with liver failure.
oh wow.
And I think it's so fascinating how sometimes these really tough life experiences can kind of catapult someone into this
Yeah.
whole new world of, health and wellness.
It really is.
Yeah.
It definitely did for Diamond, and I think what's really striking about his work is this idea that at the core of it,
Yeah.
all disease stems from cells malfunctioning.
Wow.
He says there are two main culprits. Either our cells are lacking the good stuff nutrients,
Right.
or they're being bombarded by the bad stuff toxins.
So it's either deficiency or toxicity.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because when you think about it,
Yeah.
that one disease concept
Yeah.
really kind of simplifies this whole complex web of different diseases and boils it down to like a single root.
It does. And it's very empowering because he's saying that if we can get to the bottom of what's causing these cellular malfunctions, then we have a real chance at preventing or reversing all sorts of health issues,
Yeah.
including cancer.
Including cancer. So instead of getting lost in the complexities of trying to understand, all these different diseases and all these diagnoses, we can really focus on, that common denominator.
The health of our cells.
The health of our cells, yeah. And so I'm already starting to see how this could really fundamentally change the way we think about health and wellness.
Absolutely. And that's where this idea of cancer switches comes into play.
Okay.
Diamond argues that there are these controllable factors
Interesting.
that can either activate or inhibit the cancer process.
Okay, so this is what I'm really interested in, because it's not just about genetics or bad luck.
Right.
Like, we actually have some agency over these switches.
Absolutely. He presents a very proactive view of your health.
I love that.
You're not just a passive bystander. You have the power to influence these switches and potentially tip the scales in your favor.
I am all about,
Yeah.
taking control of my health.
Right.
So let's dive into some of these cancer switches.
Right.
What are some of the big ones that he talks about?
Well, one of the first things he emphasizes is this idea of maintaining a slightly alkaline cellular pH.
Oh, okay.
And this is where the modern diet kind of gets called into question
But
because all that sugar, processed food, and refined grains,
yeah.
they create a very acidic environment in the body.
And I'm pretty sure I remember reading that an acidic environment is something that cancer cells really thrive in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He points out that cancer cells can be up to 1,000 times more acidic than normal cells.
Wow.
So if we're constantly bombarding our bodies with these acid-forming foods, it's like we're creating the perfect breeding ground for cancer.
That's a pretty scary thought.
It is.
And speaking of things that create an acidic environment,
Right.
you mentioned sugar, and I know that that's a major red flag for Diamond.
Yeah.
He really does not hold back when it comes to sugar's role in fueling cancer growth.
No, he doesn't. And it's not just empty calories we're talking about here.
Right.
Sugar actually feeds cancer cells,
Wow.
providing them with the energy they need to proliferate.
It's amazing how something so common, something we encounter literally every day
Yeah.
can have such
Yeah.
a profound impact on our health. And it's not just linked to cancer, right? It's a factor in heart disease.
It's linked to heart disease, diabetes, obesity, the list goes on and on.
So many things. So cutting back on sugar is not just about, potentially preventing cancer.
Yeah.
It's about improving our overall health.
Absolutely.
And, speaking of things that we might not think about
Yeah.
as being harmful, Diamond also talks about medical x-rays.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I've always kind of wondered about because,
Yeah.
x-rays are a vital diagnostic tool.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, is there a point where,
Right.
that cumulative exposure becomes of concern?
That's precisely what Diamond's asking. He argues that while necessary x-rays are fine,
Right.
we need to be mindful of unnecessary exposure
Okay.
because it contributes to the cancer burden overall.
He even cites a pretty startling statistic that a single full-body CT scan exposes a person to a radiation dose
Yeah.
comparable to what Japanese atomic bomb survivors received.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
that's given me some food for thought, for sure.
It highlights the importance of questioning whether a procedure is truly necessary
Yeah.
and discussing the risks and benefits with your doctor.
Your doctor, right.
Diamond really advocates for a preventative approach to healthcare.
So instead of waiting for things to go wrong, we should be focusing on
Yeah.
creating the optimal conditions for health from the get-go.
Exactly.
I love that approach.
And that's where nutrition comes in.
Okay.
Diamond is a huge proponent of a nutrient-rich diet.
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty compelling evidence to back it up.
Like what?
For example, did you know that simply increasing fruit and vegetable intake can cut cancer risk by 50 to 75%?
Wait, seriously? Just by adding more fruits and veggies to our plates, we can significantly reduce our risk?
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
It makes you wonder why we don't hear about that more often.
Right.
Yeah.
He makes a very strong case for the power of nutrition, and he's not afraid to call out the standard American diet.
He calls it the SAD diet.
Yeah, the SAD diet. And when you look at what the typical American eats, it's clear why he uses that acronym.
Yeah.
Processed foods, sugary drinks, refined grains.
Yeah.
It's a far cry from the nutrient-dense diets our ancestors thrived on.
Really different.
He even points out the statistic that today's children might be the first generation in 200 years to have shorter lifespans than their parents due to diet-related health issues.
That's a huge wake-up call.
It is.
Okay, so we got to ditch the SAD diet and embrace a more, whole foods, nutrient-rich way of eating.
Yeah. Nutrient-dense.
But where do we start? Are there specific foods that he recommends we avoid altogether?
He outlines the big four.
Okay.
Sugar, wheat, processed oils, and dairy or excess animal protein.
Okay, so those are the big ones.
He argues that those four categories pose the biggest threat to our health, particularly when it comes to cancer risk. Okay,
so we already talked about sugar, but what's the issue with wheat?
Well, he argues that modern wheat is very different from what our ancestors consumed. It's been hybridized to have a higher protein content.
Right.
And some of that protein comes in the form of gluten, which can be highly allergenic and disruptive to our digestive system.
So it's not just about avoiding bread, it's about avoiding all the kind of hidden wheat that's in our food supply.
Exactly.
What about processed oils?
His concern with processed oils is that they can inhibit oxygen transport into our cells, which disrupts energy production.
Got it.
And as we know, cancer cells thrive in those low oxygen environments.
Right. Yeah, so it's not just about the calories.
No, it's not just about the calories.
It's about how they're affecting our cells' ability to function.
Exactly.
What about dairy and excess animal protein?
He argues that those contribute to acidity in the body, which, as we talked about, can create an environment that's more favorable for cancer growth.
So it's not just about what we eat, but what we don't eat as well.
Exactly.
It sounds like a pretty significant shift in our dietary habits.
It is.
But it's not just about food, right?
Right.
He also talks about toxins.
He dedicates a whole section to toxins.
Yeah.
And this modern chemical living experiment we're all participating in.
Yeah. I have to admit, this is one area where I get a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, it can be a bit daunting.
It just feels like toxins are lurking everywhere. Where do we even begin to, tackle this issue?
Well, he starts by painting a pretty stark picture.
Okay.
He shares that newborns already have an average of 232 chemicals in their cord blood.
232 chemicals.
Before they've even taken their first breath.
Wow. That is mind-boggling.
It really highlights the extent to which we're exposed to toxins from the moment we're born, and it underscores the importance of being proactive about reducing our exposure.
Okay, so where are these toxins coming from? What are some of the...
Well, he mentions things like mercury,
okay,
which can be found in dental fillings, certain types of fish, and even some vaccinations.
And he explains how mercury can interfere with our cells' natural processes.
It creates oxidative stress and damages DNA.
So it's not just about, avoiding, certain types of fish. It's about being mindful of all these potential sources of mercury.
Yeah.
What other toxins are we looking at?
He talks about MTBE, a gasoline additive that's still present in some water supplies.
Wow.
Even though it's no longer widely used.
Okay.
He also highlights chlorine, which is found in our drinking water and even our showers.
Really?
And how it can react with organic compounds to form. Yeah.
Potentially cancer-causing byproducts.
No, it really seems like toxins are everywhere.
They are.
It's almost enough to make you want to live in a bubble.
Right.
But does Diamond offer any practical advice on,
He emphasizes the importance of proactive detoxification.
Okay.
And gives very specific examples of things to be mindful of.
Like what?
Like air pollution.
Okay. Carpets.
Furniture.
Clothing.
Personal
care products.
Even our shampoos and lotions.
He explains how many of these things contain synthetic fragrances, dyes, and preservatives that can actually release toxins as we use them.
This is making me want to go home and check the labels on everything in my bathroom.
I think we all should.
So what can we do about it? This just feels so overwhelming.
Well, he's a big advocate for incorporating detoxifying practices into our routine.
Like what?
He's a big fan of saunas.
Saunas? Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
How does saunas help?
Well, he explains that saunas raise your body temperature, which increases blood circulation, promotes sweating, which is a natural way to eliminate toxins.
So it's like giving our bodies a little internal cleanse.
Exactly.
What other detox strategies does he recommend?
He also mentions fasting.
Fasting?
As a way to give our digestive systems a break.
Okay.
And allow our bodies to really focus on detox.
Isn't that a little extreme?
It doesn't have to be a prolonged fast.
Okay.
He suggests that even short fasts, like skipping a meal or two, can be beneficial.
So it's not this new age fad.
Right.
It's an ancient practice.
And many cultures throughout history have incorporated fasting into their traditions for health reasons.
That's really interesting. We've been talking a lot about the physical aspects of cancer.
Right.
The foods we eat, the toxins we're exposed to.
Yeah.
What about the mental and emotional side of things? Does Diamond address that at all?
He does.
Okay.
He emphasizes this powerful mind-body connection and how stress directly contributes to cancer progression.
Interesting.
In fact, he cites a study that found stress in mice.
Oh, wow.
Led to significantly increased cancer spread.
Wait, stress actually makes cancer spread faster.
It seems that stress hormones can actually suppress the immune system.
Oh, wow.
And create an environment in the body that's more conducive to tumor growth.
So it's not just about external factors like diet and toxins.
Right.
It's also about our internal state of mind.
Exactly.
What does he recommend we do to manage stress?
Well, he's a big proponent of meditation and mindfulness practices.
Yeah.
He argues that these techniques help to calm the nervous system, reduce stress hormones, and boost the immune system, all of which can help protect against cancer.
You know, I've been meaning to try meditation.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be a really powerful tool, not just for preventing cancer, but for overall well-being.
Absolutely.
This deep dive is already like packed with insights, and we haven't even gotten to like the specific recommendations for preventing and reversing cancer.
There's a lot more to come.
I know.
Stay tuned, because in part 2, we're going to explore those practical steps that Diamond outlines for putting all of these principles into action.
Perfect.
And creating a truly cancer-proof lifestyle.
Can't wait.
So buckle up.
All right.
We're just getting started.
Okay. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive into Never Fear Cancer Again.
We have.
We've talked about the one disease concept, the cancer switches, how diet toxins, even our mindset can play a role in our risk of developing cancer.
Absolutely.
So now I'm really curious to hear about the specific recommendations Diamond lays out for putting all this knowledge into action.
Well, he provides a really comprehensive plan that covers everything from diet and detoxification to physical practices and even supplements.
Okay, so it's really like a tangible plan for actually implementing these changes.
It's a step-by-step roadmap for creating a cancer-proof lifestyle.
So where does he suggest we begin?
He always starts with the foundation, diet. He really emphasizes the importance of adopting what he calls an anti-cancer diet, which means cutting out those big 4 we talked about.
Right, the sugar, the wheat.
Sugar, wheat, processed oils. And dairy or excess animal protein.
Right, those are the big no-nos.
Yeah, those are the ones to really watch out for.
Okay, but I have to admit, it can feel pretty overwhelming.
It can.
To think about like completely overhauling your diet.
It's a big change.
So are there any baby steps that people can take to kind of ease into it?
Well, he emphasizes that it doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach. Start by gradually reducing your intake of those 4 categories.
So like maybe
swap out your sugary drinks for water or herbal tea. Experiment with some gluten-free alternatives. And start incorporating more plant-based meals into your week. Just little things here and there.
That sounds a lot more manageable. Yeah.
It is.
Small changes over time.
Right.
What about those detox strategies we discussed?
Yeah.
Are those something that we should be doing on a regular basis?
He believes that incorporating regular detox practices can help to support our body's natural detoxification processes and reduce our overall toxic burden.
So things like saunas and fasting.
Saunas, fasting.
Drinking lots of water.
Drinking plenty of pure water. Absolutely.
You know, I've actually tried incorporating those short fasts into my routine.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been surprised by how good I feel.
That's great.
When I do it.
A lot of people find that even intermittent fasting, like skipping a meal or two once or twice a week, can have a really positive impact on their energy levels, digestion, overall well-being.
It's definitely worth experimenting with.
It is.
And of course, there's exercise. We know that's essential for overall health. But Diamond really emphasizes its role in cancer prevention.
He does.
And even treatment.
He calls exercise a wonder drug.
I love that.
And he argues that it's one of the most powerful tools we have for preventing and reversing cancer.
Okay, but you know, sometimes it's hard to find the motivation to exercise, especially when you're already feeling kind of overwhelmed.
It can be tough.
By all the other changes you're trying to make.
Right.
What would you say to someone who's struggling to get started?
Well, he emphasizes that it doesn't have to be about grueling workouts. Or spending hours at the gym.
Right.
Even moderate exercise like brisk walking or gardening can make a big difference. The key is to find activities you enjoy and make them a regular part of your routine.
Yeah, and I think that applies to all of these lifestyle changes.
It does.
You know, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
Or following some rigid set of rules.
It's about progress, not perfection.
It's about making those gradual, sustainable changes.
Absolutely.
That fit into your life.
And listening to your body. And figuring out what works best for you.
Absolutely.
There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Okay, so we've talked about diet.
Right.
Detox and exercise. What other cancer switches does Diamond address?
Well, he has some interesting things to say about sunlight.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like he's going against conventional wisdom by advocating for more sun exposure.
Yeah, I remember that from the book.
Yeah.
It definitely made me rethink my approach to sun protection.
I think a lot of us have been conditioned. To fear the sun.
You know, slather on the sunscreen.
Right.
Avoid it during peak hours.
And he's arguing that sunlight is crucial for vitamin D production. Which plays a really important role in immune function and has been linked to a lower risk of cancer.
So he's not saying that we should all, you know, go out and bake in the sun for hours on end. No, it's about that moderate, sensible exposure.
He points out that our ancestors spent a lot of time outdoors and didn't suffer from this epidemic of skin cancer
that we see today.
Exactly.
It's all about balance.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that are often demonized, Diamond also talks about the potential dangers of EMFs or electromagnetic fields, which are emitted from all of our electronic devices.
All of them.
This is something that's becoming increasingly talked about.
It is.
But it's still a little bit of a gray area in terms of the research.
Yeah, we need more data.
I have to admit, when I first read about EMS, I thought it sounded a little far-fetched.
I think a lot of people do.
But he presents some pretty compelling evidence.
He does.
That suggests they might be more harmful than we realize.
Yeah. He cites studies that have linked heavy cell phone use to an increased risk of brain tumors.
Wow.
And he points out that we're exposed to EMFs from a wide range of sources.
Our
laptops, our Wi-Fi routers, even our microwaves.
It's not just about our phones then.
No, it's about the cumulative exposure.
It's about being mindful of our overall exposure to these invisible fields of energy.
Exactly.
What does he recommend we do to minimize our risk?
Well, he suggests simple things like using the speakerphone option when you're talking on your cell phone. Keeping your phone away from your body when you're not using it, and limiting your overall screen time.
Those are all pretty easy changes to make.
They are.
And I think a lot of us could benefit from being a little bit more mindful of our tech habits anyway.
Agreed.
Speaking of things that are often neglected in our busy modern lives, Diamond also emphasizes the importance of getting enough sleep.
Oh, sleep. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's definitely my Achilles heel.
I think it's a lot of people's Achilles heel.
You know, I'm always trying to squeeze in just one more thing before bed.
And one more email.
And then I end up staying up way too late.
Right, and then you're exhausted the next day.
And he argues that adequate sleep is crucial.
It is.
For hormone balance and cellular repair.
It gives your body a chance to reset and repair.
So it's not just about feeling rested.
It's not just about feeling rested.
It's about giving our bodies that downtime they need
Exactly.
to function optimally.
Absolutely.
But what about the quality of our sleep? Does that matter?
Oh, it definitely matters.
Okay.
Diamond points out that even minimal artificial light exposure during sleep
Oh, wow.
can disrupt our melatonin production.
Melatonin, right? The hormone that...
It regulates our sleep-wake cycle.
Yeah.
And it also has powerful antioxidant properties.
Okay.
So when our melatonin production is disrupted,
it can
have a negative impact on our health.
Wow. So it's not just about getting enough hours. It's about creating that sleep environment that's conducive to deep, restful sleep.
Exactly.
That means minimizing light exposure.
Keeping your bedroom cool and dark.
Avoiding screen time before bed.
Absolutely. All of those things contribute to better sleep.
Speaking of creating an optimal environment for our bodies, Diamond's also a big advocate for supplementation.
He is.
As a way to address the nutritional deficiencies that are so common these days.
Yeah, the modern diet just doesn't provide all of the nutrients that our bodies need.
That's the supplement topic always feels a little overwhelming to me.
It can be. There are so many products out there.
So many. How do you know which ones are actually effective?
Well, he acknowledges that the supplement market can be a bit of a minefield.
Yeah.
He even cites research that found a staggering percentage of commonly available supplements are ineffective.
Wow. Okay, so how do we choose wisely?
Well, he recommends doing your research, consulting with a knowledgeable healthcare professional, and choosing high-quality brands that have been independently tested for potency and purity.
So it's not about just popping pills randomly.
No, it's about being strategic.
It's about taking
an informed approach to supplementation.
Are there any specific supplements?
He talks about vitamin A and its role in boosting immune function and inhibiting cancer cell growth. He also mentions selenium, which supports antioxidant activity and helps to detoxify heavy metals.
What about iodine? I know that's something that a lot of people are deficient in.
He emphasizes iodine's importance for immune function and thyroid health, which is often overlooked. He also highlights CoQ10.
CoQ10,
which supports immune function, suppresses angiogenesis.
Wait, angiogenesis, what was that again?
Angiogenesis is the process of new blood vessels forming. And this is important because tumors need a blood supply to grow and spread. So by suppressing angiogenesis, CoQ10 can potentially help slow or even start the growth of tumors.
That's fascinating. It's amazing how all these different nutrients really work together to support our body's natural defenses.
It's a beautiful symphony.
He also mentions modified citrospectin, or MCP, which has the ability to bind to and remove heavy metals from the body, as well as supporting immune function.
Exactly.
So he's really done his research when it comes to supplements.
He has.
He's carefully selected ones that have a really solid scientific basis for their benefit.
He's not just picking things out of a hat.
I'm also curious to hear more about his perspective on conventional medicine.
Yeah.
I know he's been critical of it in the past.
He has. He's not afraid to challenge conventional medical wisdom. He argues that conventional medicine often focuses on suppressing symptoms rather than addressing the root causes of disease. And he's particularly critical of the overuse of drugs and surgery.
Yeah, I remember that he even shared a statistic about medical errors being one of the leading causes of death.
It's a startling statistic.
In the United States, which is pretty scary.
He uses that statistic to highlight what he sees.
As systemic problems within the healthcare system.
And he's not saying that all conventional medicine is bad.
No, not at all.
But he's advocating for
a more holistic approach that considers lifestyle factors, nutrition and natural therapies alongside conventional treatments.
And I think a lot of people are starting to question that conventional model.
They are.
And seek out,
alternative or complementary approaches.
Yeah, it's about being proactive and taking control of our own health. Rather than just passively accepting whatever a doctor tells us.
You are your own best advocate.
Absolutely.
When it comes to your health.
This has been such an incredible deep dive so far.
It has.
And I'm sure our listeners are feeling really inspired.
I'd hope so.
And empowered.
To
make some changes.
Make those changes.
We're not done yet.
No, we're not.
In the next part, we'll explore his specific recommendations for putting all this knowledge into action.
That's right. And creating a truly cancer-proof lifestyle.
We'll give you all the tools you need.
Wow. We've been on quite a journey with Harvey Diamond's Never Fear Cancer Again.
We have.
It's amazing how much we've uncovered.
Yeah.
About the power we have over our own health.
Absolutely. And I think now we're all ready for that practical roadmap.
Exactly.
How to truly integrate these concepts into our lives.
Let's get down to like the nitty-gritty. What are some of his top recommendations?
Well, he breaks it down into several key areas.
Okay.
We've touched on most of them already, but it's good to recap to see how they all fit together.
Okay.
First and foremost, there's the anti-cancer diet.
Right.
Which we know means ditching the big four.
Right. Sugar, wheat,
processed oils, dairy, or excess animal protein.
Right. Those are the big no-nos.
The ones to really watch out for.
But I have to admit, it can feel pretty overwhelming to think about.
It can.
Like completely overhauling your diet.
Yeah, it's a big change.
So what are some baby steps people can take?
Well, he emphasizes that it doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach.
Okay.
Start by gradually reducing your intake of those 4 categories.
Okay, so like...
Maybe swap out sugary drinks for water or herbal tea.
Gotcha.
Experiment with gluten-free alternatives.
Uh-huh.
Start incorporating more plant-based meals into your week.
Okay.
Just little things here and there.
Yeah. Small changes over time.
Absolutely.
Can really add up.
They do.
What about those detox strategies that we discussed?
Yeah.
Are those something we should be doing on a regular basis?
He believes that incorporating regular detox practices can help to support our body's natural detoxification processes and reduce our overall toxic burden.
So things like saunas, fasting, drinking plenty of water.
Absolutely.
You know, I've actually tried incorporating those short fasts into my routine.
Good for you.
And I've been surprised by how good I feel.
It's amazing, isn't it?
When I do it.
A lot of people find that even intermittent fasting, like skipping a meal or two once or twice a week, can have a really positive impact on their energy levels.
Yeah.
Digestion, overall well-being.
Definitely worth experimenting with.
It is.
And of course, there's exercise.
Right.
Which we know is essential for overall health. But he really emphasizes its role in cancer prevention and even treatment.
He encourages people to find activities they enjoy and make movement a part of their daily lives.
So it's not about...
It could be walking, dancing, gardening.
Right, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Exactly, just little things.
You know, I find that even just getting outside for a walk in nature can really make a big difference.
It's so grounding.
In my mood and my energy levels.
Absolutely. Connecting with nature is a powerful way to reduce stress, boost our sense of well-being.
And speaking of stress, that's another area.
Right.
Where Diamond provides some practical tools.
He does.
For managing it effectively.
Those mindfulness practices.
Right. Meditation.
Meditate.
Deep breathing.
Deep breathing.
You know, I'm still working on incorporating those.
Yeah, it takes practice.
Into my routine consistently.
Even a few minutes of meditation each day can make a difference.
That's good to know. I think a lot of people are intimidated by meditation.
It can seem intimidating.
Because they think they have to be good at it.
You don't have to be good at it.
Okay.
It's not about being good or bad at it.
Right.
It's just about showing up.
Just got to do it.
And practicing.
And the more you practice, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we've got diet, detox, exercise, stress management. Well, he also talks about the importance of creating a supportive environment for healing. Both physically and emotionally.
Well, what does he mean by that? He encourages people to surround themselves with positive relationships, engage in activities that bring them joy, cultivate a sense of purpose and meaning.
So when you're feeling stressed, isolated, unfulfilled,
it takes a toll on your health.
It's going to
both physically and mentally
affect everything.
Absolutely.
And he also emphasizes the power of belief.
He does.
And the importance of having faith in our body's ability to heal.
Our bodies are amazing.
They are.
They have this incredible capacity to heal.
I heard stories of people who have overcome
Me too.
really serious illnesses.
Against all odds.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder if our mindset can actually influence our physical health.
It's a fascinating area of research.
Yeah.
And there's growing evidence that our thoughts and beliefs can have a profound impact on our bodies.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
What's one key takeaway that you hope our listeners...
If I had to choose just one,
it would be this. You are not powerless
Yeah.
when it comes to your health.
I love that.
Never fear cancer, again, is a reminder that we have more control
Yes.
than we might think.
Over our health destiny.
By adopting a holistic approach that incorporates these principles.
We can really create a life that supports well-being.
On every level.
On every level.
Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
Beautifully said. I think that's a message of hope.
It is.
And empowerment that we all need to hear.
We do.
If you're ready to take charge of your health,
Yes.
create a life that's truly cancer-proof,
Check out the book.
I highly recommend checking out the book.
There's so much more in there
It's packed with even more insights and practical tips.
than we could possibly cover in this deep dive.
And remember, the journey doesn't end here.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Keep learning.
Keep learning.
And keep making choices that support your well-being.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time, keep those minds curious.
Curious.
And those bodies thriving.
Thriving.
We'll see you soon.